By now, we have all heard why Resident Evil 3 Remake is a failure, not just as a game, but as a Resident Evil game. Well, many people get on that train of thought and easily sing along as the mass continues to parade and destroy this game to pieces. Well, right. In all my years as a Resident Evil fan, playing this game since the inception, I have never seen a more lazy and stupid design for a remake. We all know why the remake was a failure as a Resident Evil game. It was the cut locations, from the clock tower to Raccoon City Park, from the graveyard to the office and the dead factory. Oh my god. Oh my god. What is even left in this game? We did play it, right? Anyway, I'm here to bring a new aspect of the game that the remake absolutely fails at and fails to capture the original's vision. It was the Raccoon City itself, the city. Since 1999, when this game was released, and I mean the first game, we have always wondered what Raccoon City was actually like. From the moment the Bravo team got off the chopper and that cow had left us to rot in that hellish forest, beautiful picnic area, we have always wondered, what does Raccoon City look like? What are the people like? What do they do? How big is it? For it to have such an elite task force of an anti-terror unit, the STARS, it must be quite a metropolitan area. Well, we didn't have to wait long before RE2 was out. And we finally got our first glimpse of this glorious city. We enjoyed it, we painted down red, literally, and we wanted more. Then Resident Evil 3 came out and said, you want more? Here you go, get into the city, enjoy Raccoon City, well, whatever's left of it. And now we are the topic of today's conversation, Raccoon City of Resident Evil 3, the focus. You see, unlike the previous games, and very much so other future games, the Resident Evil 3's second protagonist is the city itself, the exploration, glorious. Since 1999, when Aoyama released Resident Evil 3 to the masses, we have enjoyed playing through Raccoon City in a very limited manner. We got our wish, however, that wish was limited to 1999 and its limitations. Because of the very same reason, our thirst for exploring this once great city was not truly quenched. What we needed was more, and more we got. However, it wasn't the way that we all expected or wanted. PlayStation 2 rolls around, the new next generation of 3D graphics. We finally had the hardware. Outbreak rolls out, and we finally have our taste of this once great city. So we thought. Years pass, and we think we have finally gotten what we wanted. But Resident Evil goes through a downward spiral. A failure is imminent. Fans have made sure their opinion is known. Capcom goes through a frenzy, and they finally repair the brand from the ground up. Resident Evil 7 releases, and it's a huge success. Exactly what me and everybody else wanted. A return to its roots after the failure of Resident Evil 5, thinking and mistaking Resident Evil 4's success for just its action elements, and not where and why the genius of that game truly laid. However, it won't be long before they learn the lesson, and we all know it. Resident Evil 5 and 6, good games on their own. They were not good Resident Evil games, however. We enjoyed them. They were nice action games, very good co-op games, but that's not Resident Evil. The story is there, and it was nice, but not what we wanted. After the revival of Resident Evil 7, the thirst of Raccoon City came back once more. For years, fans have been asking for a Resident Evil 2 remake. Why? Because we had finally reached a point where we could make sure the graphics and the technology could actually support the greatness of Resident Evil's trilogy's original vision, and people wanted to return to the Raccoon City Police Department and all the surrounding areas, of course. Well, Capcom was quite radio silent at that time, so you know what happened? Fans united and started making the game themselves. Well, at least for a while. They were successful to a degree. The game was adequate. However, it was not the AAA quality that we wanted, and Capcom took advantage. They finally realized what they must do, and as they put it, we did it. Well, they did it. And that was quite a good show. We all enjoyed it. The Sony E3 rolled around, and we saw Resident Evil 2 Remake. It's spectacular. And now was our time. As great as RE2 was, it was not Raccoon City to the fullest extent we wanted. If it was up to me, what I wanted was a Resident Evil 1 remake. That before the accident or the incident, we actually had time to do some police missions, maybe all around the city, explore, maybe grab a cup of coffee, and have a slightly open area of Raccoon City, not fully open world maybe, and then we would go after the Alpha Team's missing chopper. Well, Resident Evil 3 Remake would be that exact opportunity, and maybe the only chance we had to finally explore Raccoon City in high definition. However, we weren't sure if we were ever gonna get that. Well, we didn't have to wait long. Resident Evil 3 was announced, and it looked spectacular. The release date was way too soon. When did they even have the time to make this game? Well, we weren't complaining. We got exactly what we wanted. A last chance to explore Raccoon City to our heart's content. However, there were a few things we were worried about the trailer. Why was Jill behaving so differently than her original character? Her behavior was sure modernized to a very toxic degree. We all knew about the agenda that being pushed through all media these past few years. But we turned a blind eye. After all, everything else was great. All the trailer was spectacular. Why worry about something that was not going to be a problem? Why worry about something that was not going to be a problem? That didn't last long now, did it? The game released, and tragedy struck. We played and finished the game. We're shocked at what we had just played. What was wrong? The game was around 4 hours. Around a bit longer than the original game. Did we not enjoy it? No, it was enjoyable. Then what was the problem? Well, it was obvious. Somebody had surgically removed all the hearts and parts of this game to pieces. Where were the locations? The weapons? The choices? The mercenaries mode? Well, they were gone. Long gone. From Raccoon City Park to the clock tower. From the graveyard to the office and dead factory. I was actually surprised there was anything left to play. You see, for a short game such as RE3, replayability is an extremely important factor. And when it comes to the exploration of Raccoon City itself, that system goes hand in hand and makes a very wonderful experience. Anyway, I digress. We are here to talk about Raccoon City after all, aren't we? We all know why RE3 failed, and we have all heard it over 1,000 times by now. Let's now open those old wounds, shall we? Because to this day, every time I hear how they cut all those locations and robbed us of our chance to play in Raccoon City, well, my blood starts to boil. But we have no choice but to talk about it, because the cutting of locations is not a cause, but a symptom of the failure of direction. Failure to understand why Resident Evil 3 was created in the first place. And that's why Resident Evil 3 Remake failed spectacularly. Something nobody else has talked about was exactly that. The failure to understand Resident Evil 3 wasn't just about the choices or the locations. They were all symptoms of a larger cause. The omission of exploration of Raccoon City. And there you have it, folks. This is why Resident Evil 3 Remake failed. It wasn't just about cutting all this location and all the features. No, although they were extremely important and contributing factors, the failure was far before that, far before even the game entered production. It was failure to understand why the game was made in the first place. It was Raccoon City. That is why the game was created the way it was. It was because the developers failed to even understand on a very beginner, what very crucial level, what they were making in the first place and what fans actually wanted. Was it a mistake or was it apathy? Because if it was the second one, we all know apathy is death. And this is exactly what happened to this game on arrival. Death. And the worst sin of all, we were robbed of our only and last chance to explore Raccoon City. I'm your host, The Immortal. Thank you for watching The Immortal Gaming Show.